Welcome to the Media Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vanunker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
Kenton, it's Media Nerds again. We're now watching a Skeleton Crew. That's done. I've canceled my Disney Plus subscription, by the way, and my Netflix subscription. And today we're going to talk about what I'm calling the great TikTok fake out of 2025, where everybody last weekend thought that TikTok was going to be banned, and they were very freaked out about it. And there was just like my entire feed was just a bunch of people saying, follow me on this, follow me on this. They're all freaking out about it. And then it turns out we only lost it for like 12 hours. They only lost it for 12 hours, and they were back on it. And now everything seems to be back to normal. What do you think of this?
It's sort of back to normal. I thought the worst job in the entire world last weekend was the person who had to type out, "Thanks to President Trump, boo hoo hoo." And I think, and that's what Americans saw. It wasn't banned in Canada. I thought it was kind of nice and peaceful. That 12 hours.
It was quiet for a little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of liked it, to tell you the truth. It was kind of like, a breath of fresh air. So then when it came back, though, it's almost like, and actually, it also seemed like TikTok gave me a big boost last Friday. I don't know. Hey, who knows? Maybe my bread video was what people were clamoring for, or not, or maybe TikTok gave people a boost. I don't know. It was kind of funny how that went. And then since then, we're getting so angry at Trump-based media, let's call it, which we'll talk about more. But I think in some ways that thanks to President Trump message kind of made it seem like somehow he's sanctioning this, and it makes it less fun.
Yeah. It came back like, I'm saving TikTok. That's how he positioned himself during this whole thing. TikTok did this. This is their response to the Supreme Court upholding the law that states that TikTok must be sold to an American company or banned because it's an foreign influence. And so when they did that, TikTok, they say they did this because they weren't sure about the clarity of the law. They didn't know what it meant, and they didn't know how they would be punished, basically. So they shut it down. And then we're looking for clarity from the ingoing President Trump. And by the way, he became president the next day. This happened on the 19th. The 20th was his inauguration day. And Biden had already said, I'm not touching this. I'm going to leave it for the next president to handle, which is perfectly fine for him to say that. And so then even despite all that, and it really did appear like that nothing was going to happen, nothing bad to TikTok was going to happen. I didn't think so. I didn't think that anything was going to, as far as I understood it, this law just means that the app gets removed from the App Store. People can't buy it or update it anymore. And then that was it. It was going to slowly go away. Whereas they just shut it off like that, kept it off for 14 hours, whatever it was, and then turned it back on once Trump reassured them they weren't going to get in trouble for this.
You know, now Trump's floating other people who might want to buy it. Elon Musk. Okay, well, that'll ruin it. And by the way, this is just American TikTok, right? So you tell me what it means for the rest of the world. Probably nothing. And then Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast might want to buy it and call it Beast Talk or something. Yeah, apparently he wants to buy it. He says he's serious about it. But once again, it's just American TikTok. I don't think it's like the whole company would be too expensive for a Mr. Beast to buy.
Exactly. And I don't think that it definitely would, if it was to be sold, it definitely would change, because I don't think they would get necessarily the algorithm that TikTok has. Like they might decide to change that or keep that to themselves and just say, okay, here's the website. Do what you want with it, but you have to come up with your own algorithm. That's the difference that TikTok has that makes it so much better than the other platforms. And so what this did for me, though, I'll just talk about my own content for a second, is I really did start posting my videos to other channels. I'm like, okay, if this is going to happen, I have a good, like, not a huge amount of followers, but a good amount of them who participate in my trivia every day are American. And I had a couple of them messaging me saying, I'm worried about this. Are you on any other platforms? So I said, okay, fine, I'll put it on. At first, I was going to do just Instagram and TikTok. And also YouTube Shorts. I looked at YouTube Shorts a while ago, but they used to have a limit of 1 minute, and that was it. Your video had to be 1 minute long, and that didn't work for me because my trivia videos are 2 to 3 minutes in length. And so I thought I'd do Instagram, and I didn't even bother to check to see if they had a limit to their length, and they do. Instagram is 1.5 minutes, so you can't post anything longer. So all my trivia videos get cut off there. So then I saw that YouTube Shorts had expanded its limit to 3 minutes. Now I can post it to YouTube Shorts and to TikTok, but I only post a partial video to TikTok. I tried cutting it in half and posting 2 parts. I'm like, that's just too much work. And it's not worth it because I don't get any reach on TikTok. I have the same 2 people liking my two same personal friends of mine liking my posts and then commenting, and that's it. It does not reach anybody new. It does not go outside the people who follow me. So it doesn't work the same way as TikTok. It's not as good. And on YouTube, it's hit or miss. One day I'll get like 1,000 views on one of them. Another day I'll get nothing. So it just depends on that algorithm. But that's what I've done. It's not a whole bunch more work, but it is kind of like weird that it just shows how much it doesn't work as well as TikTok, right? These other platforms don't compare to like what you get when you use TikTok.
Yep, I agree. And the other thing that's kind of flowing beneath all of this is now that Trump is the president, and we had all of our tech giants there at the inauguration, although Tim Cook, once again, looked like he was hostage situation. It looked like he was not happy to be there. It looked like he was grouchy and he wasn't standing with anybody else during the inauguration. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll hear more about that. But so Elon Musk and Zuckerberg Media, which is Meta. So anything that Zuckerberg owns, there's just kind of a, like, who do you guys think you are kind of thing going on right now. And I'm sure that's eroding the use. It's making it all less fun. And I should also point out that when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he also owns Vine. He has Vine. It's his.
Oh, yeah.
If he wanted to do a TikTok, he owns it already because Vine was the original TikTok.
And it was good. It was a great platform that got shut down for no reason other than Twitter didn't know what to do with it at the time.
That's right.
And so they figured that they're just going to get rid of it. But you're right. Vine would be great. People would love it if you brought back Vine, actually.
So I don't even
think
it's not on his radar.
No. I think you're right about people like getting pissed off about this of not enjoying the experience. I think, first of all, this whole fake-out thing really pissed people off because they like pour their hearts out. They like win. Like they were like, this means so much, this platform, and I'm losing it. And they're like, free. And all of a sudden it's like, no, we're not really gonna do that. They've lost trust in everything. They've lost trust in TikTok and Trump and everybody else involved. And so this is the same thing happening on other platforms as well. Like they don't like Facebook is just a mess of AI all the time. They hate that. Twitter is a bunch of right-wing assholes. Nobody's on Blue Sky from what I can tell. Threads is just like Instagram posts on Threads. Like I don't understand the point of Threads at all. It's just another version of Instagram. And so there's no real, like all these platforms are kind of like, I guess, devolving a bit. And there's nobody like coming out as far as a new leader in as far as a new platform that's really being popular.
We're talking about the Happening Now apps or the second screen apps that people use when they're watching TV or at a live event. And there's a need for that in social media. And they're all kind of like I noticed. So Threads, I use Threads to stick it to Zuckerberg. That's good. It's good for that because he owns it. And then Blue Sky and X. And what I've been doing, you're not supposed to cross-post to different media because it bores people, but I've been doing it across those three just as a test to see what happens where. And I have to say, Blue Sky is pretty buggy. It's hard. It's hard to share to Blue Sky. Like if I'm playing a podcast and I want to share it, like sometimes it won't even go there. Like it won't actually open the app when I try to share it. Sometimes it does open the app, but there's like no pre-populated post whatsoever. Like it's just doesn't work. Like it just needs it needs some fine tuning to work a little bit better than it does. However, like the followers are constantly growing. Like it does seem to be picking up steam a little bit, but it is. And I think I pointed this out on a previous podcast. It's 10 to 20% more pretentious than the other ones as well. It's that's part of the reason why I don't think I've posted to Instagram in couple of years, because it just became like platitudes with pictures. Like there's nothing new.
I did, and I'm not interested in looking at anybody else's pictures anymore. Like I find that when I go to Instagram, I'm thinking of shutting down my Instagram, honestly, because it doesn't give me anything back. Like there's nothing on there Honestly, and I feel bad because some people did follow me. Like I kind of promised that I would just post my TikTok stuff on Instagram, but I can't because they have the stupid time limit. And it's just not as good as far. It takes longer to upload. It's all the whole thing is, and I don't like their graphics as much as their editing. Like everything on TikTok is better. Um, but if TikTok, I was trying to think about this, like what would happen if TikTok went away tomorrow? Like what if we lost it? Right. And what would we do? I think I would just shift to YouTube and just start doing YouTube stuff. I am doing that. That's kind of what this is. I've started like really looking at my YouTube channel and started posting, like my podcasts are posted there, all my movie reviews are posted there. I've started doing TikTok compilations, and I'm going to start posting actual videos for YouTube. So that's going to put my effort into going forward because I feel like that's going to be around. That's something that will be there for the foreseeable future. YouTube is a solid platform.
Yeah, it's occurred to me, like I've got my own feud with YouTube ever since my 30-second clip got taken down by Harvey Weinstein. I just like to point that out. Like, whose side are you on here, YouTube? Exactly. And then YouTube also did all those self-serving videos about we're progressive in terms of copyright. And it's like, no, you're not. You're not progressive. Like, they did a TED Talk, I think, and I was just like, no, I'm done with you, and I'm done with Google. Like it just made me so angry. And actually, when they did take down my YouTube account, once again, it was 30 seconds of a Miramax film, which I use for educational purposes. So I'll point that out. There's no one you can appeal to, though. But that was the same Google account I used to sign into other things. So I had to I had to reset everything. It was just so painful. So part of me is like, I never want to post there again. I'm just done with it. Forget it. But, I do watch some of my favorite, what are video casts? What do you call them?
Podcasts. It's a podcast.
Yeah. Some of my favorite ones. Yeah. About music. Like a guy sitting in front of his laptop and just talking about music. And I think, you know what? I sort of have the desire to do that. I just haven't gotten around to it. I probably will get around to it at some point. But it's like, yeah, I think maybe my feud I could pause it for a bit and give that a shot or something. But I think we'd save time if this social media went away. Maybe we'd value friendships more. Like maybe our attention span would be better.
For sure. That would be for sure. But I just think that it's a bit overwhelming with all this stuff right now, and none of it seems to be good. Like I don't hear people other than TikTok. TikTok is the only one that seems to kind of get some positive experiences, and people again because it has this algorithm, it has a very different feeling than as all the other ones. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's going in a good direction. It just all feels like it's devolving and becoming more bots and AI and shitty people. It's hard to kind of, and the other thing about with all these tech billionaires is that it sucks to think about like all that being in control of one person. That's really the thought that bothers me is that, and this was apparent when Elon Musk came and ruined Twitter because it was good. Twitter was a great platform. It was perfect for what it did. And he just came in there and stripped it and just made it horrible. And that could happen to, it could happen to TikTok. I don't know how much TikTok is going to change based on this, or if they really are going to sell to an American company. But if that happens, it's just going to become as bad as the other platforms, I think.
Yeah, I think that's, I think I agree with that. I think I do see in our students that there is a pushback against social media. But they're in the communications program, so I tell them, you do what's right for you. But I don't know, like I see these digital marketing jobs and I see them wanting you to be proficient with, and they still say formerly Twitter, like they're still asking.
Well, that's never going to go away.
Well, because people just feel dumb saying X. So I think formerly Twitter, even in class when I'm talking about X, sometimes I remind people just to be sure. Like I don't want people sitting in my class just nodding their heads and not having a clue what I'm talking about. So you try to remind people what you're talking about. But I think this year I got the students to fill out surveys. What is your least favorite social media? And the answer was X and Facebook. And then what is your most favorite? And they said Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Reddit. Now, some of that's debatable as social media, but that's kind of, that's That makes sense to me. I also think for the kids these days, those wacky kids these days, they're far less their abilities, let's say, they have better video abilities than writing abilities, and even comprehension to a certain extent. So I think it makes sense that the video-based ones would be more, more to their liking. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about our students, a generation. I think that's true.
Yeah, right. Yes. In general, this is a generation raised on video, right? This is what this is. And I remember talking about this when I saw this behavior in my kids, when I saw like they're watching YouTube, they're not watching TV the way we watched TV when we were kids. Like this is the YouTube generation. And so they're very familiar with it. They know like the format of it. They know all this stuff. It all comes very naturally to them. And yeah, they are more in line with that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's such a weird situation.
This is what I'm starting to see. And that is like earlier this week, Michael Stipe, the lead singer of REM, said, that's it. I'm pulling the plug on Meta. And you should too. Enough with this Zuckerberg guy. I think, and he goes, if enough people do it, that's the only thing that this guy will understand. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, that is true. And I would not, hey, I haven't posted on Instagram for a couple of years, I think, maybe even longer than that. I just think if it wouldn't surprise me if there's a more concerted, like, don't use this platform in protest. I think there could be some degree of that for Meta and for X, for sure. I think there already has been some degree of that. I also think that TikTok, all Trump did was extend it, like when somebody could buy.
Yeah, he did. But also, what happened was the ban went into effect. The ban is in effect. I saw this, a video. Jason Pargin posted a video, and he said you can't get it in the App Store right now. It is like exactly what was supposed to happen happened. So they banned it. All they did, and all this like shutting down was all TikTok. It was TikTok saying, clarify this law for us before we let Americans use our app. So they did, and then they let them use it. But that was all on TikTok. The ban is in place. So eventually it's going to stop working for Americans. That's going to happen unless they extended the deadline, they get an American buyer, then everything's fine. But again, when that happens, it's going to get worse.
Well, yeah, and I don't think that would affect us Canadians. I don't think it would affect other people.
Well, if it's sold to an American company, it does affect Canadians.
Yeah, but it does affect Canadians. The only person who could afford to buy the entire business, like around the world, with the algorithm is probably Elon Musk.
That's the only way it's available, right? You can't just buy it for America.
I think that was the idea. I think they
wanted it to be. I think they wanted someone to buy the entire thing.
When they shut it down, though, it was only shut down in America, not anywhere else. And I think that's
only legal in America.
Donald Trump only has power in America. And so, all right, so this thing needs to be sold. I think it's just the American part of the business that's for sale. I don't think it's the whole thing.
Really?
Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe it is the whole thing, but then you need billions of dollars.
And some of these guys have that.
Didn't Elon Musk say that he bought Twitter for $4 billion? Is that right, or was it more than that?
I think it was that. I think it was 4.
So TikTok's got to be worth
now.
I don't know. Who knows? But I think TikTok's got to be worth minimum $4 billion. It has to be.
Oh, for sure. TikTok is worth more than Twitter was worth back then.
Yeah,
I think TikTok is the number one social media platform in the world.
Yeah.
But it didn't even occur to me that that's what they were thinking of doing. So you're saying that it would be like just an American version of TikTok just for Americans, and that we would all just continue using the regular TikTok?
Possibly. It depends on what the well, that wouldn't even impact us, but it would depend on the deal. Depends on the deal, and who's got the wheelbarrow full of money. Like if I owned TikTok, and there's one country with a big population giving me a hard time, you'd be like, okay, well, you buy that part of it, but I'll entertain offers for all of it. And so who knows? Who knows what's likely to happen? The other thing is when the algorithm on Twitter started changing, it became way worse. Like it just was not as fun. It wasn't as interesting. It seemed like some propaganda was being fed into our streams.
Yep.
Like, why do I see, although I blocked Elon Musk before, before you couldn't block
With the ability to block people?
yeah, I still don't see him. So I don't see him, but I know other people do see him, even though they don't follow him. And, that kind of stuff. This week, we also saw that Instagram wouldn't let people, there was a bug,
I saw this, yeah.
but the bug wouldn't let people. So when the accounts get transferred to the new president and vice president, you're now following the new one. Okay, so that's not Instagram or anything. That's how those accounts get handled. However, this part is Instagram. People couldn't unfollow them once they saw they were following the new administration. Like, so I don't know. I haven't heard about it since. So maybe the bug went away.
Also, there's a bug having to do with searching for the word democratic or something like that, and it was showing up no results. Something I can't remember. There's another issue with Instagram. Yeah, it's and it's funny. I went into occasionally Facebook is just basically my phone book. It's basically when I want to contact somebody, I look them up on Facebook and I message them like I used to look them up in the phone book. But I went on there the other day and the first thing I saw was a post from Mark Zuckerberg with him and his wife at the inauguration. And I'm like, I don't follow Mark Zuckerberg. I don't want to see this. Like, that's the kind of stuff that shows up in your feed that turns people off, right? Like, as soon as you see that, you're like, fuck this. And again, I look at the comments, and the entire comments are like, fuck you, Mark. You're horrible. You're a traitor. Horrible, horrible, horrible abuse in the comments. And it's this guy with his wife, and I'm like, it's just crazy the world we're in right now. It's insane. Like I'm sure you don't look at that.
Well, I probably a certain amount of sentiment does matter. But you don't, who wants to be the most hated person, the most hated billionaire in the world? Like, I don't know. That's got to be not great. And I mean, great. Hey, good for you. You can buy anything you want. But at a certain point, public hatred toward you, like you're seeing people, last night, for instance, in Berlin, a protest group, broadcast a picture of Elon Musk doing his move that he did with his salutes that he did, which harkened back to Adolf Hitler. And so they projected it onto the Tesla plant and put next to Tesla, put Heil. So it's Elon Musk doing it, Heil Tesla. And it's like, that is the kind of thing where people start going, I don't think I want this car. I don't think, even if I don't have a problem with these politics, I don't want people keying my car. I don't want people lighting it on fire. I don't want people vandalizing it when it's parked because they hate this guy. And I think we appear to be kind of at that tipping point where I think people just have had enough of this stuff. And seeing Zuckerberg in your feed, it makes all that social media makes it seem like it's for his own personal aggrandizement. And at a certain point, you're just going to shut that off. You don't want to, nobody wants to see that. So either he's got to decide. I mean, the other thing is all of these social media companies they've got antitrust lawsuits, privacy lawsuits. They've got all of this stuff at all times going down. So they all show up to suck up to the president, because he'll make it go away. Like, that's the sort of what's implicit here. And so it's their own personal interests that they're serving in the algorithm, but also in real life. And I think the more people see that, I don't think they're going to like it. I think there will be people who just don't use the platform.
Yeah. But I feel like they're going to have to migrate to something else. People want something like this. They want social media in their lives. They want something to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like we've got a couple of new platforms. They don't seem to be picking up as much as the first wave of platforms because it was the first time we'd done anything like this, right? So everyone got excited about it. But now we're used to it. Now we've had this for a long time. The product has just devolved so much into this mess that it's just not fun. And yeah, you're right. They'll just turn it off. They'll do something else. Although I find myself going on TikTok by habit sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I'll just turn it on. I don't even realize, oh crap, what am I doing on? And of course it's on. And then they're super loud in the bus when I don't have my headphones on.
Of course it is.
That's always fun.
Yeah, I changed it. I changed the settings to don't start playing sound because it would that just happened. It happened constantly. It was so loud. Exactly. It pops up. But I mean, it's the same thing for me. When you ride the bus, it's just, you used to see people with newspapers on the bus, and you never see it ever.
Everyone's on their phone.
And that was irritating in its own way because the paper was so big that the hand would like jostle, like you jostle someone or someone would jostle you, or if you're both trying to read a paper, now you're like kind of peeking into the pages. So that wasn't perfect either. And you would regularly see big piles of newspapers left behind by people, and people would sit down and go, "Ooh, free newspaper," and they would pick it up and read it, and you just don't see it anymore. You just see people kind of like with their nose buried in the screen, and to the extent you never have to make eye contact with anyone or have an uncomfortable conversation. So the dopamine makes the dopamine fire.
I was just going to say, I've gotten into the habit lately of reading on the bus. I started reading more, and that's actually a great way to pass the time on the bus, to reading my book.
I've got many books on my bookshelf to be read. I'm reading one right now, and it's the same thing. I used to bring a book on the bus, but some of the books I'm buying are giant and heavy.
Yeah, that's
so you can't. It's just kind of hard to do it. Carry lug the book around, but I like it when I see somebody reading a book. I'm like, good for you. Yeah, it makes me happy to see somebody.
I had somebody approach me once. I was reading a book, and she's like, "I just saw you reading a book. You should come and check out this bookstore." She was like advertising her used bookstore.
Really?
Because she was so excited to see somebody. Yeah, well, she was so excited to see somebody else reading on the bus. Like she just couldn't believe it. So I'm like, all right, I never did go and check it out. Sorry.
Speaking of that, books and technology. This week, I went to McNally Robinson to pick up a couple of books that I ordered online. Oh, and the first surprise was behind the counter at McNally Robinson Bookstore at Grant Park, they have a giant trolley filled with books wrapped in paper. And I said, like, is that orders from online? And they're like, yeah, that is. That's like the regular thing now. And there must have been like seriously 500 wrapped things there. Like,
wow.
I know. I was like, well, like people saying that nobody's reading, like that kind of flies in the face of that. I mean, people are buying.
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
People are reading. People are buying books. It's very popular, and there's a lot of people who love to read. And I think that's still it's like watching movies. It's like another thing people do for entertainment. So I think that's still very popular. But yeah, it's interesting that people are ordering now instead of just going to the bookstore. I guess Amazon started that.
Well, the other thing that happened when I went there was the staff was shooting a TikTok behind the counter. And so I walked up to the counter and I said, I don't want to interrupt this. And I meant it. I said, I don't want to interrupt this. And I think they might have thought I was being sarcastic, but I wasn't. I said, I don't want to interrupt this. And then she came, so they did whatever they're doing. And then she came to the counter and I said, by the way, I follow McNally Robinson on TikTok, and I'm a big fan of the TikTok account because it is good. It's a good account. They run it. They got young people running it. It's fun. They do fun stuff at work, so it's great. And when I said that, the girl went, "Oh my God, you see what we do on TikTok?" She hung her head down. But in the end, though, what that was information for them about who orders books, who uses TikTok, who follows them on TikTok, who recognizes the people they see on TikTok. Like in a perfect world, that's how online marketing should work.
And in particular for books as well, because they have Book Talk, which is this thing that people like hashtag to put it on there. And now it's grown huge. I'm sure a lot of, like I see Book Talk signs in bookstores, right? Where you see like, these are trending right now. These books are trending and that kind of stuff. So that's been huge for booksellers. Okay, so getting back to kind of TikTok and what's going to happen there. So so you think that they will find an American buyer and they will continue to use it? It'll get worse for Americans.
I don't know what they're going to do. We've entered what we knew we were going to enter, which is the dawn of chaos, and everything's happening all at once, just like last time. And what's going to be remembered? What's going to be forgotten about? Who knows? Like when there's 5,000 shitstorms happening, this is just one of them. And I don't know it's almost at the point where it's like maybe no one will notice. Just like the tariffs on February 1st, they could happen. They could on February 1st. And I'm not the one who said could. It was the president who said that.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of like, and that was only when a reporter asked about it. It was like, oh yeah, we almost forgot about those. Oh yeah, Tara, what are we doing? What is it, January? Okay, February. February. Like, I don't know. Maybe just everyone will forget. And I think that's the dawn of everyone. Maybe everyone will just forget. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. But Mr. Beast wants to buy it. He probably has deep pockets. So does Elon Musk. And whether it's the whole thing, the whole company, or just the American part, we'll see. We'll see. But I kind of liked I liked TikTok, the non-American TikTok. It was fine.
Yeah, it's great. It is really the best experience as far as an online video platform. I also like that I don't think of the guy, the CEO of TikTok, who's been on all of the videos and stuff lately. I don't think of him as being the owner of TikTok. He's just a CEO, right? I assume it's a board or some multiple owners, or it's publicly traded or whatever. You think of these guys as being the sole head of this platform. So that's what bothers me about it. Whereas the TikTok, it's a group of people who are looking, like, it really feels like they're working to make their product better. Whereas you don't get that feeling from Instagram or Facebook or any of these other platforms. Right? They're just there to make money from the advertising. You post your content, we're going to make money off of your content, and that's the formula that works for them.
Well, and I guess the holding company is still ByteDance in China.
Oh, right. ByteDance, and that's the issue, right? It's
right.
So. I mean, best case scenario is if they sold the whole thing to, I guess, Elon, and he left them alone, right? He doesn't rename it to Y, and he doesn't or just T, maybe. And then he doesn't start stripping it down. That's what he did on Twitter. He started stripping it down and cutting costs. He fired half the staff and changed the algorithm and that kind of stuff. So as long as they keep it the same, it should be fine, but they probably won't. They'll probably want to make it their own. Everyone wants to make something their own. They want to try and improve it.
Yeah, and it rarely does improve when they do that.
No. Not at all. Okay, well, let's do some recommendations before we wrap up today. Well, I tell you, Kenton, I took your advice and I got, I scanned my way into a free 3-month trial of Apple TV Plus. And it came with my Roku device. I bought a new Roku a couple months ago, and I didn't realize they had this plan, this promotion, but it said for new customers only. I'm like, well, I'll just start a new email and start a new Apple ID, and I'm a new customer. So I got my 3 months free. I've canceled all my other paid streaming services. I'm just using this. I've been catching up on the shows, which includes Silo. For All Mankind is so bad. It's just like such a slog to get through that final season. I couldn't remember. If I think about For All Mankind, I couldn't remember where I had stopped it. I looked at him. Okay, was it episode 4? I think it might have been episode 4. So let's watch episode 5. No, I've seen this one. Episode 6. No, I've seen this one. I'm like, when did I stop watching this? Because I know I didn't watch it all the way to the end, and I can't remember because it was all so boring. So anyway, that's not what I want to recommend. I want to recommend a show on Apple TV Plus called Sunny. Did you watch this at all when you had it? It might not have been out. Yep. It's Rashida Jones from Parks and Rec and The Office and some other shows, and she plays a woman who loses her husband and her son, or they die in a plane crash, and she lives in Japan, and she's an American living in Japan, and she loses them, and her husband is like a robot tech guy. It's kind of like Big Hero 6, actually, a little bit like Big Hero 6, and that he gives her, the company that he works for sends her a fancy new robot that he designed for her, and the robot's called Sunny, and it's AI, and it looks more like a traditional like white kind of robot, like a standard kind of friendly looking robot. But it's a really good show. It's really interesting. It's about a culture shock of being in a different country. She has to translate everything from Japanese. It's a very cool look at the future because it takes place, I want to say maybe 20, 30 years in the future. So there's kind of cool futuristic stuff happening. And it's a great story. It's a great story about loss and about dealing with loss. And it's very, very cool. So Sunny on Apple TV Plus. So the next time you get your 3-month trial, or next time you buy a new Apple device, you can watch Sunny on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, my list is growing for when that happens. That's for sure.
That For All Mankind is awful. Like I'm powering through it because I want to finish it, but it's not good. It's so bad. I'm really struggling.
The first season is so great and slow. Like the second season is pretty great with some exceptions, like some storylines that just who cares. And then season 3 is where I just went, oh my God, this is terrible. Like just it becomes a soap opera. Like you're going to Mars, and this is what we're like. We have
We're in
to
a
watch.
boardroom for 10 minutes in Russian. They're like talking in Russian subtitles. And I'm like, this is not exciting to watch. So,
No, what the hell happened to that show? Just horrible. And Apple TV Plus, I continue to say, has more shows that ultimately just crap the bed in their last seasons that just go way up the rails. So,
okay.
so I think that's I like not every show on there, but lots of them, based on my own experience. Okay, so I'm going to recommend. I watched a movie. Today was the Oscar nominations, and I watched a movie that most certainly was not nominated, and it's on Amazon Prime right now, streaming for free if you have Amazon Prime, unless if you don't hate Jeff Bezos as much as he hate everybody else. And I guess I don't because I still have Amazon Prime, but maybe I should. But in any case, the film, I heard about it like sort of consistently through last year. People kept recommending it. I heard it on the Empire podcast. They recommended it. And then I saw it. So I was like, okay, I got to watch this. The film is called Hundreds of Beavers. Are you familiar with this film?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I saw that it was on Prime. I think it's also on Tubi as well. It's on a few platforms. These guys are making some good money off of it, which is great. It's Canadian, though.
Is it Canadian? Well, I looked it up, and it's shot in Wisconsin and Michigan, but it might as well be Canada. Might as well be.
The Beavers made me think it was Canadian, but I guess not.
It's very
Canadian adjacent.
It's Canadian adjacent to say the least. But and they're active on the platform X, where I said something nice about it, and they liked it or retweeted. I can't remember, reposted it. But the film, it's a combination. It's live action. It's like a combination of Buster Keaton meets Looney Tunes, and it's hilarious. It's a throwback in some ways. In other ways, it's something new. It's like the classic mashup going on. And I just thought I love the film is true to its own idea throughout, and things happen in the film that you definitely can't see coming. I'd like to actually, that was a film where I thought in a theater with people who love this stuff, people would just be clapping and probably lots of laughs to be had. So I really enjoyed it. If there's one little complaint, maybe the film goes on a bit long. Like once you kind of get used to it, you're like, okay, like I think it would be a perfect 90-minute movie, but I think it's like an hour 54.
Okay.
So near the end, I was like, okay. Like, I think we can wrap this up now, but overall, I give it a hearty recommendation. I would have loved to seen it nominated for something at the Oscar, like maybe even special effects. I don't think they read this. It could be. I don't know. I don't think they read the special effects this morning award. So, Hundreds of Beavers. I enjoyed it.
All right. I got to tell you, I looked at it and thought, that looks dumb. I'm not going to watch it, but now I will. If you like it, I think I'll probably like it. It looked dumb to me. It looks so dumb.
Watch the first half hour and decide if you are chuckling at the first half hour. You got to see where it goes at that point.
All right, I'll take that recommendation. Sounds good.
I think the main actor is really good at what he has to do, like in a way that I think a dedication to the craft that for a film like this he probably didn't even need.
All right, fair enough. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of The Media Nerds. I'm Dan Vadebunker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the door hit you on the ass.